What's up, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar with my wonderful panel of co-hosts that will be joining me for the solicitations for July of 2023 from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and introduce everybody around here. To my right is this lovely lady.
Thank you.
Hello. I'm Ødfel. I'm a cosplayer. My voice is kind of gone still because I had a con this weekend. But I do lots of cosplay stuff, and occasionally I talk comics over here on Near Mint. So yeah.
Awesome. And the gentleman to her right, is that guy?
I'm Omnidog from Omnidog's Vault on YouTube, and I just saw Peter M talking about shoes in the house. You too? Et tu, Peter? Oh my god.
It's barbaric.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, speaking of Peter, Milomi is Krisis. What's going on?
Oh, it is a lovely 6 a.m. here in New Zealand. I'm so happy to be coming to you live from the bottom of the world. I write every single day about comics and drag at crushingkrisis.com. That's Krisis with a K. And I also make sporadic appearances upon Omar's command on Near Mint Commission.
I have no control over that. And to his right is formerly from Wizard Magazine and currently
Mad Norwegian Press. Yes, Lars
Pearson.
Pearson.
I was trying to find that picture you sent me so I can share it.
I know. I didn't remind you. I know. But we'll talk about it.
The worst.
Yeah. Lars Pearson, Mad Norwegian Press, and we have a new Doctor Who book out. For those of you who keep track of such things, it's About Time 4, our second edition of the Tom Baker years. Now shipping from us or from Forbidden Planet pretty soon. Our mainstream distributor, the street date is May 16th, but they are not great on respecting street dates. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I'm quick.
There it is. It has a Jim Calafiore cover, and it's absolutely disgusting, so my mother would hate it. This is how I evaluate the value of things. Would my mother, be revolted by it? If the answer is yes, then it succeeds. So, yes. So shipping from us or Forbidden Planet, again, if the distributor violates the street date, as they often do, then it will ship pretty soon. If not, you'll have to wait until May 16th.
Okay, so that is the cover.
Yeah, thank you, Omar.
You are very welcome. There we go. And last but certainly not least, from the Marvel Epic Podcast is Kurtis. What's up, Kurtis?
Hello, everybody. Thanks again, Omar, for letting me talk Marvel Comics with you. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, you can find me at epicmarvelpodcast.com or anywhere on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of those kind of places under the same handle.
Excellent. So before getting started, a big thank you to David Gabriel and everyone at Marvel for letting us have access to the solicitations for July of 2023. We do this every month, and these will be available everywhere in I think it's about 2 weeks time or so. About halfway through the month is when other news sites will get it. But we just have an exclusive first look at the collected editions. Everybody else will get like the single issues and the floppies that are coming out that month. And again, solicits meaning like July of 2023. That means usually books will come out sometime September, October, November. The big books. Trade paperbacks, how far advanced are they, Kurtis? Would you say 3 months maybe?
Yeah, something like that. It's it varies depending on the type of book too, because I know that trades are more in advance than omnibuses for some reason.
Okay. Yes. So I'm thinking, around August is when we'll see some. And of course, dates are always
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say dates are always subject to change, but
that's what
hopefully I think they're moving towards having at least 2 Omni releases a week is what they're shooting for. It looks like
it's relentless.
Wow.
That's why they're moving so many things around. Kurtis, what are you talking about? You get like 3 epic releases a week, man.
Not usually.
No, Lars, another.
There's 3 episodes. There's 3 epic releases this week, but usually it's just one.
Just one.
Just
one.
Oh, I'm gonna just shut up.
compared to the way it used to be. Are you playing with your doll, Jess? What are you doing?
I am. I was going to tell Lars another way to tell if what you're doing well is working is Patty came downstairs and looked at my desk and said, "Oh God, what is that?" And
Is that Scream?
who is this? And why is this on your desk? Who is that? And I'm starting to have second thoughts about this hobby. And I said, just go back upstairs and leave me alone. What are you doing here?
Hold on a second. You're starting to have second thoughts, or Patty's starting?
Patty's having second thoughts.
Yeah.
Good man.
About
Good
me.
man.
I
Dudes.
one of my early girlfriends, I had gotten into reading Sandman, and I was reading A Season of Mists, and she was flipping through it and was just kind of repelled. And I was trying to soft pedal, like, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. And she holds up the splash page where Lucifer is kissing Mazikeen. And I was like,
nice.
yes. Yes. We are no longer together. So
Because of Sandman?
no, that wasn't it.
Look, if she didn't dig Sandman, then it wasn't meant to be. Lars.
In a way, that's true. Sandman is one of those comics for people who don't normally read comics. So you're right.
That is true. Okay. So let's go ahead and start while we have Lars here, and I know he usually has to leave to go and do whatever business.
So much murder and mayhem to commit. It takes a lot.
Dark biddings on the internet.
No idea what that man does, but
Thank God for Google Calendar.
all right. Let me share my screen here and go ahead and start with this.
By the way, everybody wish all three of the top row here a belated happy birthday.
Well,
thank you.
So nice, Kurtis. Thank you.
All of us March babies.
Yeah, March babies are best babies.
That's right, baby. My daughter's a March baby.
That's even better. That's even better. That's great. I get along with March people. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
They're
vibe.
always my favorite people.
Do you though?
I do. I get along with everybody, Jess.
Nah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Is this big enough? I always regret asking these questions. Somebody always takes it out of context.
James will
Big
clip
enough.
that.
I believe it's girth that matters more.
Oh my God, Lars,
Okay,
what is
that's
wrong
getting
with you?
What?
All right. So if this is big enough, we'll go and continue. All right, Blade, the early years omnibus. This is one that got not really leaked. We knew it was coming. It was just because somebody said Zoom. All right, Connor wants it bigger. Thank you. There you go, Connor. That's
Hey,
good.
all right.
All
All
right.
getting older.
There we go. Blade, the early years omnibus. There are 3 covers. So you have the Gil Kane cover, the Gray Morrow cover, and then the Dave Wilkins cover for the modern take on Blade. I myself am a fan of that Gray Morrow cover.
Cool.
So this collects a lot of the early appearances of the character of Blade, and of course, a lot of it in Tomb of Dracula. Some would say that that's a lot of double dipping. Yes, if you have the Tomb of Dracula Omnis. If you don't have the Omnis, here you go. But also collected Doctor Strange 61 and 62 and 67. And Marvel Comics presents number 64, which is a really interesting addition because that's right before they brought the character back in the 90s with the Midnight Suns era. So hopefully we'll have some kind of 90s collection of Blade. That would be really cool. Because I just, I think a lot of us want the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider in omnibus format, even though Kurtis got his first in epic format. Okay, Kurtis, you got one up on me on there. Would this have the letter pages? That's interesting. If the Tomb of gosh, I sold mine so long ago. I think the Tomb of Dracula did have letter pages. I know that the complete collections don't. To be fair,
do they in the epics?
No,
No.
they don't collect the letter pages in the
Okay.
epics, nor the Marvel Masterworks.
Mm.
It's usually they leave it for the Omnis to do it.
For those of you who are fans of like the Blade movies or modern Blade, this book is completely different. The Blade was
Yeah.
very, very different way back in the early days. So
Mhm.
maybe sample it before you buy it. Although there's some absolutely beautiful, beautiful art from Gil Kane
And Gene
and
Colan.
pardon?
And Gene Colan.
Yeah, Gene Colan. Sorry, that's actually what I meant is Gene Colan. Gil Kane's okay.
Well,
He's
Gil
just-
Kane. Did you say Gil Kane's okay? What?
What? I retract the praise.
Okay, when
Oh
you
my
compare
God.
Gil Kane with Gene Colan,
Okay. This is fact, though. He's about to spit fact. Go ahead. Say it.
I'm just saying, all of the Tomb of Dracula stuff is Gene Colan, and it's absolutely beautiful with Tom Palmer on inks, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, he had that painted look to his style. I loved it. So, I hope this will give us some kind of modern take. And Kurtis is right. Don't expect the Blade type of Wesley Snipes character in this, even though the cover kind of.
Even though that's the cover, yeah.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
misleading to go with that
Yeah.
extremely modern take on him on the cover. I know everybody likes a modern cover, but I feel like that signals a totally different kind of Blade storytelling when you see that version of Blade.
Well,
It
it's
really
kind
does.
of like the Loki omnibus, right? Like you had this
Yeah.
super sexy Loki on the cover by Mark Brooks, and then you look inside and it's like this old man that has like a hunchback, and you're like, that's not super sexy.
Some of the
Loki.
modern covers are misleading.
I feel like, yeah, they should have like modern artists draw the retro outfits for these because it's very.
or just stick to the retro art. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Some of us like modern art, Lars.
Well, I like it too, but I doubt they're going to lose any sales if they put on, retro Blade covers compared to this one. But
True. All right, Marvel Universe by Arthur Adams Omnibus. It's been moved to December now, and I should let Peter talk about this one because I know he's a huge fan of.
I'm tremendously large. Nothing. The only thing I love more than Art Adams is books that skip around with a bunch of random issues that aren't satisfying to read together. To be fair, I mean, they're really just like one big hunk of this is all X-Men stuff. There's X-Men, then there's like a little helping of Fantastic Four, and the X-Men stuff does all largely center around some long shot stories. So that is kind of satisfying to read all together. The X Factor stories is when X Factor goes to England to fight some, I believe they were trolls. I don't want to be disparaging, but I think they were actual trolls, and that's actually a pretty fun story. It's right after Inferno, and then Excalibur, Mojo, Mayhem. I'll tell you, my child, if we read a Mojo story, I'm hearing Mojo quotes for the next month afterwards.
It's just
Mojo. Oh yeah. So I mean, there are some fun stories in this, but if you're like a hardcore Marvel collector, as many of us are, the chances are that you may have a lot of these already.
I love that you're going to get canceled for insulting trolls.
it sounds
not Arthur Adams. So the troll
delicate line to tread.
The troll story that Peter's talking about comes from X Factor 41 and 42, which was supposed to be a New Mutants story. That was a fan got to create a character, a special mutant for that story, and it was Alchemy. And Arthur Adams got to draw it, so that was a plus. That must have been a surprise for the fan. What is really cool about that story, though, is that later on in issues of Excalibur, they brought the character of Alchemy and those trolls back. And that was drawn by Joe Mad when Joe Mad had more of an Arthur Adams style. So I thought that was and keep in mind, Joe Mad was also 17 at that time when drawing those issues. It was before he took over Uncanny. So it kind of brings it all together. Those wonderful troll, or that fan that created, I don't even know who the fan was that created. That should be a good trivia question. Who's the fan that created Alchemy for Marvel Comics? I wonder if he still reads comics. I hope so. Thunderbolts Uncaged. Very happy about this one, or otherwise known as Thunderbolts by Jeff Parker. Collecting Thunderbolts 144 to 174, 163.1, Dark Avengers 175 to 190, and then material from Enter the Heroic Age. Luke Cage's Avengers is or Thunderbolts is what this is.
I really love this run. Jeff Parker for me is one of those writers who is like always reliable. Like I don't think I ever read a Jeff Parker comic I seriously didn't like, and it's I hope he's having fun off writing a lot of the Indian license stuff that he's been in. He wrote some great James Bond, but this is fun. It's kind of like Cage being like, "Come on, guys, why can't you be good?" And some of their nature allows them to be that, and some of their nature doesn't. A little bit less exciting when it transfers over to being pure Dark Avengers, but the Cage run is fun, and I think that it's it's not your classic Thunderbolts, but it definitely harkens back to when Hawkeye was in charge. It has a similar vibe.
Yes, I agree with that. Interestingly enough, these were not the covers that Marvel sent me when I was announcing this book. Later on, they changed the covers. And I was like, ooh, but the other one was so much better. But that's okay. I guess these things happen.
Do they listen to you at all at Marvel, or
only when I make mistakes? Like one time, I made a mistake of announcing the Mutant Massacre Omnibus, and I put the wrong file in there, and it was my favorite cover, the one by Alan Davis from 213.
One of the best of all time.
And David was like, "Oh, I actually like that better. Keep that. That's okay." I was like, "Yes, I should make more mistakes," which I do a lot, but that was just pure happenstance that happened. But I really enjoyed this era. This is, of course, after the Warren Ellis, Andy Diggle, and I believe was it Christos Gage that took over writing duties of that before Jeff Parker came on board. And it's also the ending of the volume 1 of Thunderbolts and when it became Dark Avengers. So I'm sure there's obviously enough material for a Dark Reign, Thunderbolts Dark Reign omnibus, which I'm sure is what they're going to end up calling it. So this is the stuff after that. And then, of course, that I think that all goes and gets revamped with the Thunderbolts Red.
Yeah, the now Thunderbolts.
Which was Daniel Way at first and then Jim Zub later on. Or no, Jim Zub actually ended up doing the 12 issues after that. The Incredible Hulk Omnibus Volume 2, a book a lot of people did not ever think was going to happen. But here it finally is. And collecting the Incredible Hulk 103 to 134 and annual number 1, 824 pages, $100. So very happy for the people that love this era of Marvel Comics and now get to experience it in omnibus format. It's been available in what format before, Kurtis?
Best format.
Marvel Masterworks. That is correct. The Marvel Masterworks format.
Ooh, stepped into that one. Right.
Gotta be faster,
Whoops.
Kurtis. Come on, I gave you a shot. And Hawkeye by Matt Fraction, David Aja, is coming back to print with the exact same material, issues 1 through 22, annual number 1, and Young Avengers Presents number 6, 552 pages, $100. Have you read this, Ødfel?
Yes, this is one of my favorites of all time, but I also just like almost everything Fraction drops, so.
Okay. This time around, we are getting a direct market cover by Jim Chung.
I don't think I own any other Hawkeye, but I do own this stuff. Yeah.
It's so good.
Same.
Yeah.
There's not that
He made
much
me
Hawkeye.
care. Yeah, because I was never a Hawkeye person. He made me really invested.
It's had one epic collection so far.
Yeah.
And then we've had this, and we've had Hawkeye and Mockingbird. Not a lot of Hawkeye. Outside of
Hawkeye.
what's that?
No, there was that string of Hawkeye, like 6-issue limited series, especially
Mhm.
after Mockingbird came back in Secret Invasion. That was kind of like the default Hawkeye material before this, but he hadn't really been, he was dead for a while. So this was the first really strong feature of him that had existed in many, many years.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of Ronin for a while, and you could argue that he was featured heavily in New Avengers, but a lot of that was just reacting. It wasn't really like a Hawkeye story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, and that era didn't really last a long time either, where he was gone. There was something I was gonna add. I hope that this does well enough to give us a Kelly Thompson and a Jeff Lemire collection.
Probably.
That would be good, especially
Yeah.
since we're getting a first omnibus by Kelly Thompson with that Captain Marvel, and hopefully that will lead into Kelly Thompson Black Widow in oversized hardcover collection. Because if you haven't read that book, you're missing out. That was a wonderful series that did not last long enough. That first 6 issues was like some of my favorite Black Widow stories I've ever read.
Honestly.
Also, that
it's
artwork.
so good.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
the
God,
art!
Yeah.
There were
Yeah.
super sexy ladies all over the place. I couldn't keep up.
Casagrande, she is the artist that I know from Mike Carey's Suicide Risk, and I always wondered if we would get her on some Marvel books. And when she popped up with Kelly Thompson, I was like, dream come true. And then they won an Eisner for it. Sometimes good things happen to good comics and good people that make comics.
Yeah.
Suicide Risk, the best thing Peter M's ever recommended to me.
This
I
Hawkeye,
have a hit streak of 1 with Jess.
You're 1 for 1.
that's pretty good.
You just drop the mic and you walk off stage.
Yeah,
after that.
exactly.
This she's actually introduced in the pages of the Young Avengers by
Young Avengers
Heinberg and
Spotlight No, first Young Avengers, then she gets that Young Avengers Spotlight 6
Yeah.
where she actually meets Hawkeye, which is that in this? And then
That's
this
in
is
here.
like her first time ever really doing anything not on the Young Avengers.
Correct the mundo. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Presents, not Spotlight. Young Avengers.
Production and the
Presents.
art team really deserve credit for, doing a Hawkeye story that's so compelling and so engaging. Because Hawkeye is not a slam dunk as a solo character. The Mark
No.
Grunwald miniseries was fun. I agree. That one does well, but a lot of people can't quite make Hawkeye work, and this one really does.
Well, and I feel like there's only so much you can lean into him being like this former criminal and loser before you find some humanity in him too, right? Like it's just not fun to read a hero that just his only trait is kind of being a mess up. And I feel like the Fraction and what Fraction writes well across all series, I think we could talk with Ødfel about, is that he made him a mess up, but he was a mess up that like it really showed who he was as a person underneath, and that's why it really is gold and it's going to be evergreen forever.
Yeah, the trick is that you can only go down the criminal path so long and wonder why he's still on the Avengers.
Right.
No, they did it really well.
Hold on a second. I'm looking at the chat, and I love this. It's time for a Gambit omnibus, and it's time for a Dark Hawk omnibus. I love that.
Oh,
Yes. Who said? Was that you, Lars?
Who do you think said it?
Walking on eggshells. Jess, you
Dark
whiner. Dude's got wonderful Mike Manley artwork. He runs into Venom on Venom Island. It's great. This jerk named Portal comes and tries to rip out his little, diamond. Anyway, it's good, man.
Yeah.
They could collect all those issues in one omnibus, kind of like what they did with your Squirrel Girl omnibus, Jess. Star Wars Legends, The Rebellion Omnibus Volume 2. You have 2 covers here. Lee Edwards with the Boba Fett cover, and is that Joe Corney with the Darth Vader cover. This is stuff I have not read. So, there
are some cool stories in here, including Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which is an old novel, and it was adapted and drawn by Terry Austin.
Okay.
And story
Terry Austin
actually
wrote and drew that one?
Yeah. Yep. And he and that story is actually what George Lucas had planned as a sequel to Star Wars if Star Wars bombed or didn't make as much money as he wanted it to, because it was a very kind of more of a low stakes, low special effects story. But it makes a good comic. Also, River of
story, yeah.
Hmm?
Splinter is an odd story because you remember very vividly because it came out. Well, we didn't have a lot of Star Wars material, period. And even by Star Wars terms, it's kind of weird.
Yes, it is.
It's this weird, slight alternaverse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best Star Wars out there, but it's cool. It's got some great art, and it features Princess Leia with a lightsaber fighting Darth Vader. So that's kind of cool.
The cover to the novel is great. It's really good. But, yeah.
But you had me at Terry Austin doing the artwork too.
Yep. There's another story in here, River of Chaos, which is by the Power Pack team of Louis Simonson and June Brigman.
I was about to talk about Power Pack because Terry Austin also wrote Power Pack, didn't he? No, it was Cloak and Dagger. I don't know why I got the two mixed up. Oh, what was the miniseries called? The River of what? River of Chaos?
River of Chaos. Yep.
So, since you've gotten these in epic format, with these, this is the rest of it, or is there enough for another omnibus for the Rebellion?
There's enough for another one. One more omnibus.
How does this compare to the Rebellion omnibus number 1? I thought the Rebellion omnibus was fun. I still think, and this might sound blasphemous, I still think I like Jason Aaron's take on post episode 4 a little bit more. I like the idea of Darth Vader becoming completely obsessed with this Skywalker, or with this pilot that blew up the Death Star. And in the Rebellion, it works a little bit different. Like, he finds out through a series of made up characters that had really, at least I never read the novel, so I don't know. From my perspective, had nothing to do with the movies. So I like the way he finds out through the Jason Aaron run a little bit more, and I like the way that's handled. However, Empire was freaking phenomenal. If you haven't picked up that one, so I assume this will be the same kind of tone, because a lot of the creators are still writing the books.
Well, yeah, and it has the end of the Empire series in this volume as well.
Marvel Masterworks, Omega the Unknown.
Incredible.
This is, I think, is this 300? Yeah, it is 350.
No part of Marvel should be unpaved. I mean, good.
Right when I saw it, I was like, okay, we're doing it. We're doing it right now. We're
Still
going.
no Inhumans omnibus.
Yeah.
It's one of those eras that just they haven't done, right? There was no epic. I want to say there was a trade paperback, maybe.
There was.
I think
I have
there
it.
was now.
Yeah, there was a trade. And then this is the series that unfortunately got canceled, and then Steve Gerber kind of wrapped up those stories in his Defenders run, and they're collected in here. So this collects Omega the Unknown 1 through 10, and Defenders 76 through 77. Got a lot of Jim Mooney in there.
I mean,
So,
relative to when I started reading comics, I mean, I'm too young in a way for Omega. My definitive memories are reading Marvel Universe and how he was listed among the dead, you know, and so he's just this dead character. And then you read, oh, it only lasted 10 issues. How great can it have been? But here we are with the Masterworks.
Well, and also I feel like as I have read more Marvel and get more fluent in all eras of Marvel, there's a certain charm to reading these short, one and done stories from the 70s, because it's not, you don't have to like digest the whole Marvel universe at the time to appreciate them. And I'm sure people are going to, it's the same way people feel about the Hawkeye run now. It's just like, you don't have to know anything else about Marvel to read it. And it's got a great pedigree. It's just sort of an unusual character that became a dead branch of the Marvel evolutionary tree, because he only really makes a couple of pickups after that.
Just when you read Omega, remember it was the 70s. Everyone was hippies on drugs, and then you'll be fine.
Same thing if you remember when you read any Adam Warlock, which I recently did.
Yes.
We're all
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Adam Warlock was
but I wasn't a
Jesus
hippie.
Christ superstar, though. That was a little bit different.
Every time I come back to the pre-Starlin Warlock, I have to remind myself how freaking weird it was. Like, there's no memory that's strong enough to remind me of how crazy it is.
I don't even know the pre.
I just finished reading it, and it was I own those. I own the, what was it? I didn't have the Masterworks, but I had a lot of those old reprints, especially the Starlin ones. But yeah, when Roy Thomas took over the book, he was like, "Well, let's make him a Christ-like figure. We'll put him in a cocoon.
He is
we already
golden
got that going.
space Jesus of Counter Earth." That
and Manby is this like his Satan, and he has those 4 disciples, and one of them betrays him. And I was like, "Whoa, this is all in your face." And the High Evolutionary is kind of like God, like creating this Earth where he sends Adam.
And whenever they want a cameo, since it's Counter Earth, they have to have like Hulk get into a fight that launches him out of orbit, so he can land on Counter Earth and like interact for an issue, and then he gets sent back.
It was supposed
but
to
then
be
on Counter Earth, there's like a Counter Earth version of Doom. I had totally forgotten about. Anyway, we'll have a whole Adam Warlock show at some point. We don't need to map it because it's an omnibus, but there's some weird stuff in the 70s. Yeah,
Werewolf by Night coming out in Marvel Masterworks format. The first one, I believe, is due out, or did it come out last October?
It's already out.
I cannot remember.
Out.
Collecting Werewolf by Night. Thank you, Lars. 9 through 21. Tomb of Dracula 18. Giant-sized creatures number 1, and Monsters Unleashed 6 through 7. 344 pages, $75.
Werewolf by Night is a great read. Another one of those 70s great reads. I'm really happy. It feels like for a long time the only stuff we could get from Marvel stuff with that like pedigree of Avengers, Amazing Spider-Man, Uncanny X-Men, but like there were gems in every era.
Beavis and
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just wondering, is there enough material for Beavis and Butthead to be an omnibus format? I can't remember.
Maybe a slim one.
It ran like 30
issues
or so, didn't it?
30? I thought it was like 20.
I think Lars would know. He was pricing each one of them on the.
I was, and I was hoarding them. Okay, brace yourselves for the shock. It ran 44 issues.
That's enough for an omnibus.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Oddfell. Sorry, before
Oh,
we
I
got
was just gonna say, yeah, Monster of the Week Marvel books just have a special tone to them. Definitely worth checking out. They're some of my favorites.
Ooh, this is a good one. I've always loved Mike Allred's description about a Morlock as a cosmic Jesus David Bowie.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, that
If,
must be why I like him.
if he was psychotic, yes.
I love that anytime he's in trouble, he's like, I'm just going to put myself in a cocoon.
Yes.
Like he's getting beat up and killed. He goes in a cocoon. It like, what a wimpy way to fight. Spider-Man 2099 Dark Genesis is coming out. This is Steve Orlando, not Peter David, collecting all 5 issues of that series. And Justin Mason is the artist on that. So this is after the stuff that's collected in the Omnibus.
Yeah, this is brand new.
Volume 2, which has been hugely delayed, hasn't it?
Volume 1 has been hugely delayed. It's still not out.
No, it's still not out. No, but at least it looks like it's going to come out.
Yes, it looks like it's going to come out.
Volume 2, I think, got spiked next year.
Venom by Al Ewing and Ron B. Volume 4, Illumination, collecting issues 16 through 20. Has anybody else been reading? I've read the first 2. I think 3.
I am almost all the way. I think I'm into material in this collection at this point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's so strange. So I mean, this is like a post Donny Cates Venom, right? It's a very different world. It's focused on both Eddie Brock and his son Dylan, and it's Al Ewing and Ram V, and it kind of feels a little bit like Immortal Hulk in that they're kind of peeling away the layers of this Venom character and the Venom concept, and what else can you do with it? So it's Venom with time travel, Venom with different versions of Venom, Venom on the inside of Venom's psyche, Venom versus Kang. I mean, it's things that you typically wouldn't expect with Venom. I find it a little bit slow and narration heavy, but if you're somebody who really likes Immortal Hulk and you're like, Venom's a lot more than Spider-Man villain, I like when they do the space stuff, I like when they do the Clintar stuff, then it might be really satisfying too. And, you know, Brian Hitch is kind of one of those love him or leave him kind of artists. Like, you either like the shiny mannequins or you don't. And so if those things appeal to you, then you'll really like this run. It's a very, very different Venom run, even different from Cates.
Like Kate's run felt like it was running on all types of just adrenaline, and I was really taken back by this one because of the creative team of Ron B and Al Ewing. I was like, okay, I can expect something crazy, and it looked like it was, right? Like, I don't want to give away what happens in the first volume, but you're like, where are we going with the character of Eddie Brock and Dylan? What the heck is going on? And then I was like, oh man, you're right. It is a little bit. No, the first one was boring. The second one picked up a little bit, but I think a lot of it has to do with the way that they split up the book. You have Al Ewing writing Dylan, if I'm not mistaken, then Ron B, or maybe it's the other way around.
I think it's the other way. Yeah.
Okay. Then it's Al Ewing writing the character of Eddie and Ron B writing the character of Dylan. And I assume both stories are going to intertwine sometime. I just hope they run into some kind of ROM Space Knight. That would be cool.
I read the first 2 issues of this last night, and this book is, I would say, certified fun. Has anybody else read this yet? Ødfel, have you picked this up yet?
I haven't. It came out around the time that I kind of took like a break from reading a lot of titles, but it's one that I've thought about jumping back in, and now that it's getting a trade, I might. But I've only heard people glow about it. I've only heard good things.
About the Red Goblin? What?
I've heard it's fun. I've heard it's a lot like kind of the symbiote Spider-Man was, where it's just like fun.
Oh,
it's really fun. There's only 2 issues out so far, and you think it's going to be all about Norman, but it's actually about one of Harry's kids, which I always forget the name, Normie. And it's fun. You realize it's been a really long time since there's a Marvel comic that like really has the perspective of a kid that's not just like a broody teenager. He's like a young kid, and it's like him seeing this Spider-Man goblin superhero world through his view and what it means for him to participate in it. But it's also really focused on like how Norman is seen by this person who actually kind of like worships him in a way, even though he's highly skeptical of him because he knows he's been the Green Goblin and he's been a bad guy. And so it's from the Normie's perspective, but it's kind of what is happening to Norman in the current post-Dark Web Amazing Spider-Man universe. And I just found it really charming and fun to read. It took me back until like the late 80s. Jan Baladuza always draws those really youthful faces anyway, so to actually see her drawing actual kid characters as a good fit, it just really clicks for me. It's fun. If you want like a fun, youthful corner of the Spider-Man universe, I would please say try issue 1 and see what you think.
What remind me what Alex Packnadell has written?
Oh,
I'm sorry,
Red
Jess.
Goblin.
I know him from co-writing a Valiant miniseries from 2019, but I haven't been keeping too much up with Marvel lately, so I'm not the one to ask.
The name sounds really familiar, and I'm trying to think of what else I've read by him. Okay.
Is that Normie? Is that Harry's kid?
Yeah.
Or
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
And Red Goblin, of course, got his start in Dan Slott's run. I think it was his last arc, if I'm not mistaken, the last stretch of his run.
I think I remember, yeah.
Star Wars High Republic Phase 2, Volume 2, Battle for the Force. Kevin Scott writing this one too, and this collects, I assume this is Season 2 or Phase 2 of the High Republic, collecting issues 6 through 10. And let me hold on a second.
And Phase 2 started. Have you been following this at all, Kurtis? Phase 2 started with a jump backwards in time by a century, which was jarring because I just really gotten. You've heard how into High Republic I've been, and I kind of was like, oh, okay, we're telling a totally different story now with this Phase 2.
Oh, really? So wait. Are you saying? So I've read all of Phase 1.
This does not start in the same time period as Phase 1. I'm no Star Wars expert, but that I know for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't read the first trade of this one yet, so I didn't know about the time jump. That's interesting because I mean we're talking about hundreds of years before the Skywalker saga too, so you have a lot of room to play around with. I like that. I like that they're trying different things and they're not sticking to Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and we're going back in time, kind of like what they did with the Old Republic. I love the Old Republic. That's been one of my favorite comics from that Star Wars era because I've never read that stuff. Punisher Volume 2, The King of Killers Book 2, collecting Punisher 7 through 12. This is Jason Aaron, Jesus Saiz, and Paul Acequeta or Aceceta. Oh no, Acequeta, creo.
Has anybody been reading this one?
Well, yeah. I normally love Jason Aaron, but I don't normally read Punisher. So how is this?
I love the first trade. I'm not gonna spoil what happens, but I loved it. I thought it was great because oh gosh, kind of like what Chip Zdarsky. This is so hard to talk about without going into spoilers. What Chip Zdarsky is doing in the pages of Daredevil, that you're like, you can't do that because when the next guy takes over the book, he's going to undo that. But how is he going, or he or she is going to undo that? I guess I'll find out. The same thing is happening through the pages of Punisher that makes him join the Hand and lead the Hand. And you're like, whoa, it just got dark. Why?
It is so dark. It feels like Aaron is getting away with writing a Marvel Max book, not just the violence, but conceptually the humanity of it, the relationship aspects of it. It's shockingly dark, and it's Jesus Saiz is delivering, I think, his best art that I've seen at Marvel, and I pretty much love every book by him.
He's a great artist.
It's really thought-provoking, and it's violent, but it really feels like Aaron has found a way into the Punisher that lets him take some of those personal takes that he did on Punisher Max for so many years and make it work in the 616. I just caught up all the way up to 10 last night, which is as far as it's out, and it's been kind of in its own little pocket with a very surprising foe. I guess it's spoiled here is that it's got Ares, the God of War, in it as well. But now Aaron is starting to tickle that the rest of the Marvel universe is kind of noticing what's happening, and there's a pretty stunning showdown with a favorite Marvel character that just happened, I think, in issue 9 that I was like, oh! In fact, I made a special note to say today, I forget if it was issue 7 or 9, I can look it up in my sheet, but it was probably my gold star best Punisher issue I've ever read.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I've read the first volume, and it just, because going into the first volume, the only thing I knew was people complaining about, his logo being changed.
Friggin' skull.
And I thought, okay, I mean, it's not like that hasn't happened before. I mean, even if you go back to the 90s, they changed the logo. But I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens. If it happens within the story, and yeah, sure enough, it happens because I mean, he's wearing the skull in the first issue, but then it changes because, well, what he ends up doing. And I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. But the story blew me away. I thought it was great because I wasn't the biggest fan of Aaron's Max series. I thought it was okay. I know a lot of people love it, right? And a lot of people love it, and it's up there for them with Garth Ennis' run on Punisher. But I thought it was just okay. This one I thought was a lot better, and he handled a couple of surprises. Very, very nice.
Issue 7. If you just want to pick up one issue and really be surprised by it and read what I would say is the best Punisher has been in a long, long while, go read issue 7. I think it should be on Marvel Unlimited already.
Tragically, as is the habit, I have to get going and commit significant crimes. Go to lunch. I have to go to lunch. Yes.
Okay. Smash that like button before you leave, Lars.
I will. I will. Thank you all.
Good,
Good
buddy.
to see you as always.
Finally.
Yeah, now you can talk about Legion of Superheroes all by yourself. Elektra, Black, White, and Blood.
Oh my
Paperback.
The only
Yes, knows
good
I
comic.
love him. He's a March baby.
The only yeah, right. March babies unite.
Elektra, Black, White, and Blood. This is the trade paperback version of the previously collected single issues or in Gallery edition. Or was it Treasury? Treasury edition. Thank you. It's just an anthology of stories and 4 per issue. So you're getting about 16 stories in here.
I loved this era. Because I don't know if they're still making them, but I remember there was like a 6 to 8 month span where there was a whole bunch of Black, White, and Blood. There was a Red, White, and Blue and a Red, White, and Gold that DC put out. Like, it was
Yes,
really neat to
Wonder
see
Woman
them play with this kind of like stylized color.
They're still doing them. Marvel did they're doing, what is it, Darth Vader, I think, next. They just released the Moon Knight one, which I just finished reading. And I forgot it came out last week, and I was like, oh, dang it, I didn't put it in my overview. Whoops. But they've been a lot of fun. You know, very hit and misses, of course. Some stories really stick with you. There's a couple from Carnage that I thought were great. There's a couple from Wolverine. I mean, and you have people in here from all over the place of the comic creative side. You have a story. What was this? There was a Stan Sakai story. I think it was in the Wolverine or Deadpool. I can't remember. I think that's Stan Sakai who did, Usagi. So
yeah, they had Claremont do like a Patch and Kitty Pryde story for one of them for the Wolverine too, and I was like, okay,
I'm in. I love these.
More drop. I'm here for it.
They're
says Kevin Eastman has a story in this one. That's pretty awesome.
Yes,
That's
he does.
cool.
He does. Mm-hmm. So they're very what I like to call palate cleansers. I love these because anytime I just need a break from a long-winded story, I go to read those kind of stories. And I like the Batman Black and White for that reason too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rick Ray. Rick Sakai did the Deadpool one. Thank you for that, brother.
Oh, that would be a good combo.
Hey guys, greetings from Colombia. I'm colombiano. Acá es un peruano. Thanks for keeping us posted. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Bar doesn't need money. She just pretends to be a 12. I know. I sent her a box of books because I thought she was a 12-year-old boy. You know how much postage to Israel? Ask me. I actually know now. This, I think, is the finale of the end run, which makes me sad. We don't have a lot of creators staying very long on books, and I was hoping she would keep continuing writing this series, but issue 50 will be the last issue. Oh my goodness.
It's just good. It's just good comics. It starts out good. It ends good. It's just every arc. It wins me over because every arc, and I don't know if I'd love to hear your opinion. When I hear the concept of it, like I'm like, oh, this bullshit. Like sometimes it's like time travel or it's like a binary or whatever. I'm like, we shouldn't do this. This isn't a good idea for Carol. And then I read it. I'm like, of course it was a good idea because Kelly Thompson is just one of those people that understand what Captain Marvel is for and why she exists. But that's me. What do you think?
It's so true. Like, she captures female characters so well. Like, I started reading during the arc with I forget his name, but it was Namor's child.
The future story.
Yeah, and just her capture on Carol, her capture on Emma Frost, I was hooked, even though the idea was outlandish. And yeah, every arc since then, you hear the synopsis and you're like, why are they bringing back all the Marvel, like Captain Marvels for this one? Why are they bringing Binary back for this one? But she really does work it in, and she really does capture the spirit of like the cosmic romp that it should be, but the serious kind of character study that it also needs to be. And honestly, this run has just been phenomenal. I adore it.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine how somebody's. It's always great when you finish a run and you're like, wow, what else would you do with that character? Because that's like the gauntlet being thrown down. Like, okay, somebody else has to have a great Captain Marvel pitch to make it worth reading after this. You know, and nobody's perfect. Kelly Thompson, not every Kelly Thompson book is great, but this is one of the greatest, I think.
I agree. She really writes Carol well.
It's been my favorite Captain Marvel book that features Carol, because I wasn't a fan of Kelly Sue DeConnick's run. What was the other book? I was not a fan.
Margaret Stoll wrote in the middle for a while there.
That was okay. And even I know people really love Brian Reed's run. I thought that was okay.
That's the name I was trying to think of.
Yeah, Brian Reed. Well, he didn't write her as Captain Marvel. He wrote her as
Ms. Marvel.
And I thought, honestly, that was okay. But people really like it, and more power to you if you do. I was not a fan, but I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a really good take on her. This made me actually think, okay, well, she actually makes a good Captain Marvel, right? Because before I was like, oh, but Monica should be Captain Marvel, because that was the Captain Marvel I grew up with. But here we are. Bishop War College. I just saw a picture of this, and I thought it was a fan pick. So this collects War College 1 through 5, because you see these you see pictures online people share in groups, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. That's a really good fan pick. And no, it's an ongoing series. The cover's by Ken Lashley, who I love his artwork. And
it's an odd one. It's a weird one.
I had no idea this was even a thing. I need to look into this.
Yeah, so this is
so it starts out with Bishop leading a bunch of the Academy X plus newer X-Men of that era as kind of their trainer on Krakoa, and you're like, oh, it's going to be like a kid-oriented Krakoa book. But then when Krakoa is attacked, it kind of splinters the two plots, and Bishop, I mean, it's I'm going to say a spoiler. It's because it's so weird that you just have to read it. He goes to a world, as you can see on the cover there, that's an all-black X-Men world, and he's like, all the X-Men are black, and so that's the primary Bishop story. And then meanwhile, the kids are left without him earlier in their training to kind of defend Krakoa. We're only 2 issues in, so there's no telling where it's going to go. It's a little out there. I don't know that it's really captured perfectly the voice or the look of anybody. There's some odd art in the first issue.
Okay, so Ken Lashley just does the cover. God, I love Ken Lashley's artwork.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I love Ken Lashley. The composition of that cover is exactly like something Rob Liefeld would do.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay, I can see a little bit of
that Rob Liefeld with the low spread out version of the Wolverine mask. That's very Liefeld.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's like this the pose of Bishop running forward, and the heads that are floating around here.
It's also giving Ultimate X-Men, just a little bit of Ultimate X-Men vibes.
Can't say I recommend it, but there are Bishop fans out there, and it's great to see him not being a genocidal supervillain.
Yes.
Oh my God, people really love that era. And that makes me so mad what they did to Bishop during that era. It's not the first time we've seen a premise like this before. I remember in, I guess, the tacky side of the Silver Age, this happening a lot. But also in New Warriors, I remember the Forever Yesterday storyline, where Nova goes to that alternate timeline where all the superheroes are black superheroes. But because it was the foundation of that world was all centered around the Sphinx, so it was all around Africa. So I thought that was a pretty cool take. I don't know if this is anything like that, but as an X-Men fan, I will read it. I'm glad you read it, Peter, and you gave your honest opinion.
I do the homework. I always do the homework, even this garbage.
Marauders. This is Steve Orlando's Marauders. Were you a fan of the Jerry Duggan Marauders?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Marauders by Steve Orlando, Volume 2. Collecting Marauders 6 through 12, X-Men Before the Fall, Mutants First Strike. I like that cover, but I assume that's
has nothing to do with what the inside of the book looks like.
Okay, so I recognize Tempo. Is that can't be Cassandra Nova?
It certainly is.
It looks like Nova, yeah.
What? Bishop's here hanging out. Deken, formerly known as Deken, I believe he goes by another name now. Akihito, something like that. Somebody, where's the biggest X-Men fan? Jess, what do they call Deken these days?
Thanos.
You are so stupid. I
think by the end of X Factor, I think they were calling him Akihito or something.
Thank you. Something like that, right?
It's been a hot minute, but I think it was something along that line. Which I think might just be his name. I'm not sure. I'm not huge into the like Wolverine side of things, so I don't know very much.
Kate Pride and Quanon.
Conan, Aurora, and Somnus.
Yeah, I was like, that song
That
is
guy.
that like kind of like AU character they did a little bit ago.
Well, he was like an old flame of Dawkins that was a mutant, but then died, and the story was that he had kind of been in the closet his whole life, except for I think this one brief affair he had with Dawkins, but then he gets brought back, via Krakoa, and he's young again, and so now he kind of wants to experience, the life that he didn't have. And I want to say, was it Vecchio who created him? I think he was created in one of the Pride or Voices specials. He's a really, really fun character, and I like when they actually like canonize these new. A lot of times people are like, I want to make a mutant, and then they make the mutant, and then nobody in the mutant office actually wants to use the character. So it's nice for a change to see the character get picked up. Wait, so it's Dustin just gave us the name Akahiro.
Akahiro.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for that.
I'm glad to see him get shine, because since he wasn't, I believe it was the Pride one. I think you're right. I remember reading that and I was like, this is a cute one shot, but I didn't expect to see him again. So that's really cool that they're actually using the character.
I'm just glad they're using my girl Tempo in something. I know that
Tempo is really the highlight of the whole book, if we're being truthful.
Okay, I've always liked her since X-Force. I know she was a Liefeld character in New Mutants, Mutant Liberation Front,
MLF.
But I think Fabian really expanded on her, and then Peter David tried to use her, and by that time he was out of the book.
The first arc of this, they go to space to the Shi'ar Empire, and of course the Shi'ar are not big fans of Cassandra Nova. If you recall your new X-Men, it's Orlando. He writes words much like a dictionary. There are words in that too, and it's just as exciting.
Is it over, or is it a continuation? Like, is it continuing into another series or ongoing?
It's ongoing. This is the second arc.
Wow, because I know that Knights of X ended, and that's over.
Some of them blessedly did end.
Yeah. Joe Fixit, collecting Joe Fixit 1 through 5, and Incredible Hulk 347. And this one is not going to be collected in the companion omnibus. Incredible Hulk Omnibus Volume 5 by Peter David. And that is Cully Hammer on artwork on that cover.
So you need to get this if you want.
I took a quick look through it. It's really fun.
What's up, Jess? I'm a big Peter David fan. Like, even through a lot of the rough patches he went through in some stories, but for the most part, I've enjoyed everything he's written. His freaking Maestro miniseries were phenomenal. If you haven't read them, like, I love the setup of that world. This is a little bit different though, because Joe Fixit was a character that was around, right there, issue 347 of Hulk. So this is kind of like we're gonna go back to that time. I assume we're gonna see Patch. Because we gotta have
it's so far it's got a lot of Kingpin and Spider-Man, and it's really fun. The interior art by Sinar is really, it's not throwbacky art intentionally, but it kind of the way that it's being colored is really kind of giving me a very late 80s, early 90s vibe, and it's just fun. Peter David, for all of his faults, knows how to write a comic book that feels fun in a classic way, and I really think this one actually is really enjoyable.
So this is new stuff?
Yes, but it's written kind of like the symbiote Spider-Man, like he wrote, that takes place in the past. It's written like that in the past.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm excited for that one. Well, what's up, Keenan? Hey, guys, which X-Men hardcover do you think will be the last one in the Hickman Krakoa hardcover books? Well, so far it's Sinister's Sins of Sinister is the last one we have solicited as far as a hardcover. I don't know of anything past that yet.
Yeah, I've kind of fallen really behind with all the Krakoa stuff, so I'm not really sure if things feel like they're starting a new leaf or not yet.
So yes, that's all I know so far. The Sins of Sinister deluxe hardcover will be, I don't want to say the last one, but it is the last one that I've seen solicited. I don't have any news regarding his health. I really should send his wife a message. Look at that. Joe Quesada still doing covers. This is Marvel's Voices Community. What is this one about? Shark Girl, Araña, Ghost Rider, America Chavez, White Tie. Okay, I think I can figure this one up. Spider-Man? Yo, man, Latinos can claim Spider-Man too? That's what's up. Okay. I got excited about that genuinely. I forgot he's mixed. And Reptile.
Yeah, he's half Puerto Rican, right?
Yes, I think he is. Yes. Oh man, now I'm gonna have to hear about it from my buddy Rob, who claims that Spider-Man. Sorry, man. I have to call dibs from the Latino community. We ain't got much, man. We got what? White Tiger, American Chavez, Ghost Rider, not even Danny Ketch. Get that guy. Oh, Nova, Sam Alexander, what's up? Roberto da Costa was the only Latino I remember when I was growing up in comics, and he didn't even speak Spanish. That dude spoke Portuguese, and I was so confused. But Omar the fake Hispanic. Gabe, you can't even speak Spanish, man. What are you going on about? All right. But this collects, I guess, the Latino side of, I'm just looking at the creators here, of the Marvel Universe.
And it's two separate Voices one-shots. It's one from last year, and then the one that's just come out, or maybe it's 21 and 22.
Okay.
These books are fun. I mean, they're basically just anthology books. No story is longer than like 6 pages long, and it's just, if you want to, I think that it's always interesting how they give them titles that actually make it hard for you to know what they are, as Omar just did. Like, it's called Community. Why is it not called, Marvel's Voices, Latino Voices or something like that? Like, okay, Community. There's a lot of communities, but I like that Marvel's leaning back into anthology books. I think anthology books have a place on the market, and they allow you to find new favorite writers and artists.
Yo, man, if they really wanted to cash in on the whole, what was that, Latin X thing?
Oh,
that would have been the time, because you got X on the title. You can sell it, baby. You got Latin X on it. That's what I would have done on this. Put a bunch of X-Men, I guess, just Sunspot, I guess, and Spider-Man on the cover. All right, Kurtis, your moment to shine, buddy. Here we go. This is what you've been waiting for the whole stream.
A lot of people have been asking for this reprint because it came out and almost instantly sold out, and that was like 3 years ago or something like by this point. So it's now getting a new printing, this Beachhead Earth, which contains the Kree-Skrull War.
77 through 97 and Incredible Hulk 140. This is also the origin of T'Challa by Roy Thomas, like going into further detail than when he was introduced in the pages of Fantastic Four. What's the Harlan Ellison story that they adapted in here? Do you remember?
It's Hulk gets really small and goes to shrinks down to Jarella's world.
Okay. Wonder why I can't remember why it's in here though. 140.
It's a crossover. It's a crossover story. It starts in Avengers and goes into Hulk.
And the Gathering.
And here, this is wrapping up. I believe wrapping up Bob Harris's run on Avengers, or maybe I can't remember. Is it? We have the one before this, which is called The Gatherer's Strike. Then it's this one, volume 25, and then the one after this is called Taking Aim. So this is a gap filler for those of you who've been collecting.
So this is a new book. It's not a new printing.
Yep. Nope. This is a brand new collection.
I adore that cover. That is fantastic.
Warren, let me tell you something right now. The leather jacket years were the bomb into the Avengers, man.
Steve Epting.
Steve Epting.
I love it.
I love how everything looks like a leotard over a bodysuit. Like, I genuinely like the costumes.
Oh my gosh. Look at Black Knight. He ditched his cape for a leather jacket. That's how you know it's badass, Warren.
Everybody loves a leather jacket over some scale mail. That's the look.
Oh my gosh.
Comfy.
If I were a superhero, that's exactly what I would wear. What Black Knight is wearing. Give me a sword. So this collects issues 366 to 377. Annual 23, X-Men 26, Avengers
West Blood Ties
1. That is correct. Uncanny X-Men 307 and Avengers Log number 1. I'm curious.
We haven't had a Blood Ties collection in a long time, right? So
I'm curious why they didn't add the Exodus one shot. That was
later.
My very first thing I suggested to Marvel was adding the Exodus one shot to that Gathering, the Gathering Omnibus. Yeah.
And the epics, they're really religious about putting the things exactly where they were in publishing order, even if the story falls like way before, way after. So it's probably just that, because it did not come out the next month. I do remember that from buying at the time.
And oh man, I
I'm
can't believe Kurtis got another one up on me before it's released in omnibus format. What the heck? All right, X Factor Epic Collection. Tell me about this one, Kurtis.
Well, this is the a little bit of X Factor that has, like you said, never been collected in any format, I think, right?
Except for Essentials. This will be the first time in color for the 40s
First time
issues.
in color.
We've had the Inferno part collected in
Right, just
oversized
comes
format.
after. Anything after that troll story. See, it's all connected, folks. So you're on your condition. Everything after that troll story has never been in color before.
That is correct.
This is stuff that, because of that, I've never read any of it, so I don't know what the stories are or anything like that, except for, of course, the Inferno stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to looking forward to reading this because I love this old team.
Oh boy, do none of you know Judgment War? Do I get to break this amazing story across your brain?
Never read it.
Oh, Ødfel does.
Okay. I've read Judgment War.
It has one of my favorite Cyclops moments of all time in Judgment War, where Celestials play a big part in this, right? And Peter can tell us a little bit more about it. But my favorite moment is when a Celestial's foot is about to crush Cyclops at the end of the issue, and he's looking up and he's thinking, like, with thought bubbles, what a stupid way to die. And that's where the issue ends. Yes, you see the foot just come down. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Awesome.
I just adore
Well,
Madeline
how would
Pryor.
you summarize it?
Madeline Pryor did nothing wrong.
Not her fault.
Yeah, no, this is kind of like people have mixed opinions about Inferno, but this is kind of, I'm trying to explain because like it's so hard to explain this without explaining Inferno as a whole, I feel like, because Maddie is so intrinsic to it. I don't know if you have a good way of explaining this.
Well, I would say that a lot of this material, so it starts with Inferno, the whole punch of Inferno, and then there's that Art Adams troll story, and then Excalibur goes to a different planet for like 8 issues, and they just are totally removed from everything X-Men, and it's a very John Carter of Mars riff, as a lot of these are, but they basically go somewhere else where the Celestials have a lot more sway over what mutants and mutanity looks like on that planet, and they, as X-Men tend to do, embroil themselves in it, and it's they all kind of get split apart in the different factions based on where they landed on the planet, but also based on some of their personal beliefs of what freedom should look like for people in this society. And so they kind of like do like a mutant savior trope on this planet, and it's like a little bit like eye rolling because you're like, why is this a mutant book? Like, it doesn't really feel like an X-Men book, but it's also fun because it's like just getting these characters somewhere where, like Omar said, you just get to see them be themselves in some other setting that's not just mutant. So there's a lot of love-hate about this. I would say probably more hate than love. It's and it needs to all be collected together. There's no breather. There's nowhere to break it. That's why this is like a little bit thicker, because once they go to the other planet, the story just continues and continues until issue 50.
Yeah, I feel like the fallout of big events is always chaotic, and this is exactly that. And you kind of get launched from like Demon Marvel to Cosmic Marvel, but if you're reading the Hickman stuff and want more Nanny and Orphan Maker, there's a lot of that. So if you want to see their dynamic,
they do show up in this. In the Judgment War saga is drawn by Paul Smith, who's no stranger to X-Men. He comes back and draws that saga. I think there was one fill-in issue, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm thinking of issue 55.
Yeah, there's like an intermission. There is.
Kurtis, Fantastic Four Epic Collection, The Crusader Syndrome. This is number 9, volume 9.
Number 9. Yeah, we're getting through the 70s here with Fantastic Four. Moving right along. This is, what is it, Fantastic Four 147 to 167. This is the Jerry Conway, wrapping up Jerry Conway's brief stint here. No, sorry, the other way around. Wrapping up Roy Thomas's run, moving into Jerry Conway here with a bunch of different writers. Look at this: Len Wein, Marv Wolfman, Chris Claremont, Tony Isabella, Steve Englehart. This is actually not my favorite era of Fantastic Four. I found it to be a little bit directionless, but we have some early art from George Perez, along with Bob Brown and Sal Buscema. So there's some, and John Buscema. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff on the art front.
That one is $49.99, and it has 512 pages. And
Whew,
the
it's a hunger.
modern era epic collection, New Avengers. This is a symbol.
This will be the second of the modern era epic collections to be released. Spider Gwen comes out a couple months before this, so this is kind of cool to see the new. I haven't seen the back cover of this one yet to see the new version. This is pretty much exactly the same. I think actually it is exactly the same as New Avengers by Brian Michael Bendis Complete Collection Volume 1. They're just repackaging this now as modern era epic collections.
I wish they had gone and collected the Secret War.
Secret War.
Yeah, which leads into his run. I always thought the joke. So the connecting covers were such a cool idea, right? Like you had Steve McNiven, you had a couple of other artists drawing these covers, but then the Joe Quesada one I always thought stood out because Wolverine, Sentry, and Captain America were so huge on this cover.
Yeah.
Those guys have been working out a lot. And that one is $44.99, 504 pages. Then we're getting the Agent Venom.
Ooh.
And this one was previously moved. This was supposed to be, I think, in February, but they moved it to August. So this is the Modern Era Epic Collection Volume 4.
We never got to announce this one,
Nope.
Omar.
I
This
remember.
kind of just popped up. Yeah, this is the beginning of Rick Remender's run with Flash Thompson as Venom. So let me see, and then it's going to be continued in a volume that's going to come out the next month, Volume 5.
Yeah, they're putting these out there. So for anybody that missed out on those Agent Venom complete collections that are out of print, now is your chance to pick these up. $44.99, 496 pages. And Loki, Modern Era, Everything Burns, volume. This is the volume 2 of Loki. So this is another one, Journey into Mystery, if you've not read it. The Gillen series, which is quite excellent. And it has the crossover
and actually,
and Mighty Thor.
I think Volume 1 is coming out the month before.
Yeah, they've got them like snappy.
That was another one, Volume 1, that they kind of just snuck in there. I forgot about that one. So that one's coming out before New Avengers. But yeah, this collects all of the Journey into Mystery era of Loki from 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just interested now. Oh, go ahead, Kurtis. Sorry.
I think this one's almost exactly the same as those old complete collections, but they're adding the Avengers and X-Men number 5 story.
I just really like that. I think the bonus of doing these modern epics is before, because they wouldn't go to back to print on the same book. It was like if we wanted to get a reprint of something like this Loki, Marvel had to like almost invent a new format, because they would not go back to print on like a complete collection. And so we just got this constant like cycling through formats, and we had all mismatched bookshelves, and we didn't know what to expect. And I just think the great thing about the epics is maybe some of these modern epics will be one and dones, and we'll never see them printed again. But for something like this, which has shown continual demand for a whole decade now, like Marvel will just reissue the dang epic collection. Like this is the way to get them into more of a direction of DC where like certain stuff is just available all the time. And if Marvel's got like a top 20 runs that people demand right now, I think this Loki run is in it. So I mean, it's great for people that aren't Omni readers and that, you know, those complete collections are really old at this point. Pick it up.
I know
Kurtis, question for you.
I've got a copy of it, but I think Kurtis does too. Let me highlight him, and you can see. I think they match up pretty good. Let me give him a solo layout. There you go.
They match up exactly. They use a different font here and a different font here, and then this box they're full color rather than the single color, but they look really nice next to each other on a shelf.
Yeah, so the spine will have a full color instead of that one color tone.
Yep. It's nice.
All right, and me exit that. All right, so Loki Modern Era and Loki Modern Era. Are they both coming out? Yeah, both coming out in August of 2020.
There you go.
They put number 2 in the catalog before number 1.
That's so weird.
This collects the first part of that Journey into Mystery, and that's it as far as all of Gillen's Journey into Mystery. And the material from A plus X5? Is that A versus X?
Yeah, whatever it is. And then this one, the volume 1 also has the Loki siege story, one shot.
Jess, have you read this?
No, but I just read Young Avengers Omni, and I said when I was talking to Kristen, the comic slayer, and I said I needed to get more backstory and find out more about Kid Loki, everything else going on in Young Avengers. And so I was referred to the Journey into Mystery Omnibus, and then the couple of Young Avengers books that come before that Young Avengers Omnibus. So I'm doing homework that includes this.
Yeah, so read this before you read Gillen.
Omni.
Yeah, read this before you read Gillen's Young Avengers, because this leads into that Young Avengers, and this has one of the most heartbreaking moments, I thought, in comics, in modern or in old comics. I love that.
Wow, now I'm intrigued.
And it was a star-making term for Gillen. I mean, people who were really reading carefully kind of already knew and loved Gillen for a lot of other runs, but I think this is when he turned into a superstar.
So that's part of my homework.
I didn't know you got homework. Oh, right. That's good homework she's giving you. She-Hulk by Mariko Tamaki. I only have the first trade, and I thought it was okay. Collecting Hulk 1 through 11, and then She-Hulk 159 through 163. $39.99. I had no idea that Del Keon did a cover for that run, though. So this is the stuff that happens after Dan Slott's run. It happens after the run by Peter David. So,
yeah, well, this is actually in the era where Primary Hulk is dead, so it's post Civil War 2. Yes. I didn't really love it, but I remember that Freya, my good friend Fangirl, really was a big fan of this at the time, because she really liked that it dealt with like trauma and like the actual process of like what does it mean for a superhero with such amazing powers to like really have PTSD, and how does that manifest with how they relate to their powers. I actually like Mariko Tamaki when she's a little snappier, and those last few She-Hulk issues are more like kind of one-shotty quick stories. Some of them have Hellcat in them, and I really loved it in that period. I didn't love the beginning so much, but actually, as you say, the title was Hulk. She was the Hulk because there was no other Hulk at the time, primarily.
Yeah, her superhero stuff is very, very, very hit and miss with me.
Yeah,
I love her independent stuff, but some of her superhero stuff, I'm not a fan of. And I read the first trade. Somebody's asking about the new. Was it Bar? How's the new She-Hulk? That's the one by Rainbow Rowell, right?
I enjoyed it a lot. It has some weird tones to it because it does acknowledge Empire a little bit, and Empire was kind of strange to She-Hulk in fun, creative ways, but it definitely kind of did some weird things to the character. But it's a pretty good run. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Melanie really liked it. I thought it was pretty good too. At least the first trade. I haven't read I don't think there is a second trade yet.
I don't think so, no.
Holy crap. Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. If you don't want to wait for that second omnibus, here it is, all in its entirety. Kurt Busiek, Alan Davis, Manuel Garcia. Man, this is my favorite Avengers story.
It gets dark. I read it last month for the first time, I think, all the way straight through, and I was like, this is, for Avengers, this is, especially pre-Bendis Avengers, this is dark.
I didn't even notice that Kang's face was on that cover until I started looking at that. That's awesome. This is what if Kang had won.
Only not what if. It's kind of like Kang wins.
Okay,
like,
Kang wins. And the story, as you can tell, goes on for more than a year of Avengers. I love this era because it does get dark. I think that might be his final issue. I can't remember if he ends on 55 or 56. And then we got Jeff Johns taking over the run. And it also has
the Avengers have to make choices that you've never had to seen them make before, because Kang it has the upper hand basically over everything, and not just a time thing, like in the present day. I think that's why it feels so dark to me, because it's like Kang getting what he wants in the present day, which is something we had never really seen in Kang's history. I did a whole guide to Kang last month where I read every Kang appearance ever. That was a head
spinner. Oh my God.
And
so much.
Yeah. And this one really stands out as maybe the best Kang story.
This is the one where they all have to separate into like smaller teams to even attempt, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Towards the
really good.
You have Firestar and Justice still being a part. Triathlon. Jess, have you read this run?
I have not. I was just looking up at my original oversized hardcovers of the Busiek run, wondering where this is in those books.
This is the last. This is the last book. Book 5. But actually, this has everything from that book in there. Book 5 has the exact same content, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, man. It's so awesome. Love it.
Wow.
And we're also getting, I didn't see this coming, Infamous Iron Man by Bendis and Malieve. This is the, I guess it's not a complete collection anymore. It's just a fat book. Fatties? I don't know what we call these. Thickies?
Fatties. That's what we smoked in the 70s.
Infamous Iron, I don't think it stopped in the 70s. Just Infamous Iron Man 1 through 12.
I did.
Invincible Iron Man 593 to 600. That is a lot of Bendis. I think for the most part, is that his run?
I think so. I think it's the whole thing.
Well, it's the half of his run. It's the half of his run, right?
Yeah,
It's
because
other
then the next
was
half
on-
is the Ironheart stuff, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which might be collected in the Ironheart, the saga of Riri Williams. Collecting Invincible Iron Man 1 through 14.
Yeah. So those are
There
the
you
two
go.
halves.
So
Wow.
I think that's it. You know, put those babies together, you got yourself an omnibus. This is a Brian Michael Bendis, David Marquez, and Mike Deodato Jr. Covers by Mike McCone. Really, that's a really good cover.
Yeah.
And more Ironheart, because I'm assuming she's getting a show, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna be in what is it, Armor Wars?
Oh, right.
Well, she has her own show that's already been shot too.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, but
I don't know if
I had
knew
no
she-
idea that it was shot.
Yeah,
And
it's exciting.
and you get Ironheart 1, 6, and 7, and Generations Iron Man and Ironheart. E-viewing is who wrote
love
these.
that E-viewing Ironheart series. So
Right?
fun.
I'll be honest, man. I was not a fan at all of this.
No.
I don't know how anybody else feels. But when E-viewing took over I had a lot of I was like, I am not gonna enjoy this. She's not a comic book writer. I don't like this character. Man, I love those issues, and I was so pissed when the series got canceled because nobody was getting it, I don't think. And by that point, I think they had just given up on the character, the fans had. I love that series. It was only 8 or 9 issues. And it featured some new warriors, man. Loved it.
Easy way to win. Or
That's how you
Omar,
win. Neil.
before we move on, somebody in the chat made a good point. We said that this has everything Bendis, but did either of them have the international Iron Man issues? I think that's what's not contained in those two previous trades. There's Invincible on that one.
I'm
And
looking
then
at
in the
that.
previous one, did it have the internationals or just the
No, the previous one
Infamous.
only had the Infamous Iron Man and Invincible Iron Man.
Okay, so there's not quite a full Bendis run across both of those books. Thank you for, I'm trying to find the person who said it. Always an instigator, and they certainly were in this case in the chat, pointed that out. Thank you for
Thank
the,
you for
the
that.
catch.
Andrew, ban yourself. You warriors. Was that it? No, it is not a Riri Omnibus. It is a Riri Saga, which is one of those thick books, just like the Infamous Iron Man is going to be another thick book. What's up, Max? Maybe you should reread. My man with the joke. My man with the joke.
He's
Awesome
awesome.
with the jokes. All right, Spider Gwen. This is a digest-sized book, graphic novel, $13.99. Collecting Spider Gwen, Spider Ghost Spider video comics, Spider Gwen, Ghost Spider 1 through 10. That's a lot. 248 pages. Ages 10 through 14.
Yeah, those
And-
digest ones, I know you're fine now. Just the digest ones tend to collect 2 trades each. That's the whole Sheena
Oh, is
McGuire run. And it's fun because she's on her Earth, but she's actually going to school on our Earth because she's gotten too notorious on her Earth, on Earth 65, due to the events of what had been leading up to then. So it's kind of like a fun, kind of like dual life thing that she's living.
Thank you so much for that, Transcendent Travis. And to wrap up the solicits, and we'll go back in case people missed it, and then talk about our favorite books we're looking forward to. Mighty Marvel Masterworks, The Incredible Hulk Volume 3, Less Than Monster, More Than Man. And Jack Kirby doing the direct market cover, and Leonardo Romero doing the standard edition cover, collecting Tales to Astonish 75 through 91. All right. Before we go back to the beginning, here is a quick word from our sponsor. If you live in Europe and you're interested in pre-ordering some of these books, all these books, whatever you want, check out Walt's Comic Shop. They're based out of Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC big books within the EU. Flat rate shipping of €12 for all EU countries, and all emails will be answered within 24 hours. Just head over to waltzcomicshop.com, type in Near Make Edition at checkout, and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of €40 or more. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ting. All right. Let's do a quick recap. Blade, the early years omnibus is coming out. I didn't notice the page count. This one's only 472 pages. It's $100.
That's a teeny omnibus.
Because I guess that, man, he didn't really have a lot at the beginning. Marvel Universe by Arthur Adams has been now officially moved to December. And Thunderbolts Uncaged Omnibus. The Incredible Hulk Omnibus Volume 2. Hawkeye by Matt Fraction and David Aja Omnibus. This is the new printing. And Star Wars The Rebellion Omnibus Volume 2. The Omega the Unknown is the 350th Marvel Masterwork. Anybody out there got them all? All of them? That's not worth $100. You would buy that if it was a Harley Quinn on a five.
Yeah, we would.
So stop.
Me and Bar.
Marvel Masterworks. You stop too, Jess. Werewolf by Night Volume 2. The Art of Miss Marvel. And Spider-Man 2099 Dark Genesis. Venom by Al Ewing and Ron B. Volume 4. Illumination. Red Goblin Volume 1. It Runs in the Family. And Star Wars The High Republic Phase 2 Volume 2. Battle for the Force. Punisher Volume 2. The King of Killers. Book 2. Elektra Black, White, and Blood trade paperback format. Captain Marvel Volume 10. Revenge of the Brood Part 2, which is the finale of Kelly Thompson's run. Bishop War College trade paperback. Marauders by Steve Orlando Volume 2. Joe Fixit. Peter David returning back to that classic character. Marvel Voices Community, otherwise known as Latinos Assemble. Avengers Epic Collection, This Beachhead Earth, the new printing. And Avengers Epic Collection, The Gathering. Even though it says new printing, Kurtis, this is a brand new book, right?
Brand new book.
My man. X Factor Judgment War Epic Collection. This is Volume 4. Fantastic Four Epic Collection, The Crusader Syndrome, Volume 9. The new event. We have a lot of modern epics in this round, man. The New Avengers Modern Era. I guess this was like, hey, let's reprint some complete collections. And then they were like, wait, just put a new trade dress on them. Ship them out. We'll call them Modern Epic Collections. Kurtis won't know any better and he'll be forced to buy them all. Venom Modern Epic. This is Volume 4. And then Loki Volume 2 of the Modern Era Epic Collection and Volume 1. All in the same catalog. And She-Hulk by Mariko Tamaki. That is everything that she wrote for the character. Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. That story is amazing. Infamous Iron Man. We stand corrected. That's not everything that Bendis wrote between that book and Ironheart, the saga of Riri Williams. Ironheart Marvelverse book. Marvel. This is the digest size books, and this is Ghost Spider, Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider. And the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, The Incredible Hulk Volume 3. At this moment, I just want to remind people to smash that like button. All right. Panel and everyone out in the live stream. What's the one book you're most excited for from this particular solicitation? Just one. Kurtis, you got like 85 epic collections coming out. This is going to be difficult for you. I'll start with ladies first. Ødfel, what are you most excited for from this catalog that would caught your eye?
I'm probably most excited for Captain Marvel just because I've fallen behind on the arcs. So I'm excited for the last trade to come out so I can add it to my collection and also finally read the Brood arc. Because like we were talking before, Kelly Thompson's just done such a great job on the series, and I'm honestly really excited to read this arc. But yeah, that's the one I'm probably most excited for.
All right, so Captain Marvel, that's your vote. Volume 10. Revenge of the Brood Part 2. I'm excited to see how they map out that Volume 2
Mhm.
of the Omnibus, if and when it comes out. Jess, what about you, my dude?
Thunderbolts by Jeff Parker. I've
Detroit.
heard nothing but great things about this, especially from Riley. This is like, I think, one of his favorite Thunderbolts ever. So what? There's 2 Omnis out right now, right? So this will be the 3rd one.
There'll be a 3rd one coming out May. Comes out in May.
Okay, so that'll be between. Okay, so then
This
will
would
be the
this would be
4th one.
considered Volume 5.
Okay, what?
Were you not listening to anything Peter and I were saying the entire
I can't listen to what Peter's saying. He's like an encyclopedia. I can remember what I had for lunch in 8th grade, but I can't keep all this Marvel stuff in my head.
All right, I'll give you that. Peter's an encyclopedia. What's a poor man's encyclopedia? It's not Wikipedia because I'm not there. I'm like,
It's like when you had the Encarta DVD back in the, or it was actually
I'm
CD,
the Encarta
right?
DVD version of whatever the hell Peter is.
Well,
All right.
Okay, so
This is Volume 5 of Thunderbolts. Volume 4 would be the Dark Reign era, which is the Warren Ellis, Andy Diggle, and I almost said Nicolas Cage, Christos Cage.
has
era.
that's been announced?
No, sir.
Oh, okay.
Do you
They're
even
playing
know
the
that?
Epic game where they're picking and choosing.
Yes,
That's what I thought. So there's a gap, but here.
Yes, there is a gap.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I was trying to get to, but you kept yelling at me. So this is what I
You
want.
were yelling at me first.
I never yelled at you, Jess.
No, I know.
No,
Peter's
Peter
a
is
nice
calm.
guy. Yeah.
Peter is
no.
a super nice guy.
Peter never
You
yells.
call
at
me
all.
the Encarta Encyclopedia, you jackass.
I know. What a pull on that Encarta.
I don't know.
Captain Encarta.
On the FAQ section of a website. What? You guys are so mean. All right.
So
So once I make Curtis is definitely Wikipedia then.
Oh man,
You Peter.
Curtis, what are you?
I am crushing Krisis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What are you most excited for, buddy?
I'm the footnotes.
I'm excited for the 1-2 punch of Loki Modern Era Epic Collections Volume 1 and 2. I haven't read this, so I will be reading it as soon as I get it.
I
Looking forward
am
to that.
very envious of you reading this for the first time. These were beautiful books. I love the stories in here. Even the Fraction crossover with Thor. It made sense. It still added things to Loki.
I'm excited to read this too.
It's really good. That's right. You haven't read this yet. What about you, Peter? What are you most excited for, buddy?
Well, I mean, I'm contractually obligated to say the X Factor epic. There are precious few parts of X-Men at this point that we've never seen reprinted in color. And just the fact that, I mean, there's only one brief gap after this, and then we'll finally basically have all of the X-Men up until the end of the Claremont era have been collected in color. So we're just waiting for one more book after this one. But in terms of what I'm excited to read the most, I'm going to be reading that Red Goblin issue #3 on the day it gets released. That one has turned me back into a Wednesday Warrior. It's just fun and it's different.
Wednesday Warrior.
And
That's awesome.
I'm always that and Punisher are the Marvel books that are.
You can't pick Punisher. That's my pick.
Well, I'm not picking it. I'm just saying, in terms
Okay.
of like books that are getting me on Wednesday to be like, ooh, what came out this week? That's the kind of books that are exciting me right now.
Dude, that is awesome. Okay. I never thought you would pick Red Goblin out of all the books. This feels like a few years ago. I was on a stream on Omni Bros, and we were talking about like our favorite books of the year. And Jess was like, I'm gonna go with Gwenpool. And Gabe was like, I'm gonna go with Spider-Gwen. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Did I just stumble like on a multiple like a variant Earth? Because none of this makes any sense. I hadn't read those books at that time, but granted, they were both great.
Hallelujah.
I'm gonna go with Punisher, man. I can't wait because you were singing praises about that issue 9, I think. But I love the first one.
Dude, wait until I don't want to spoil who he fights, but wait until you see this person show up and how El Cis draws them and how. Oh my, Omar! Like the day it comes, I'm gonna put a calendar notification to call you on the day it comes out so I can hear your reaction.
I remember that. We gotta talk about this because I'm very excited. I love the first one. The first one, I'm like, it can go either way. Whenever you have a good first trade, it can go south really quick. We've seen that happen before, or it can keep the same level of awesomeness, or it can be even better. And you're like, whoa, this is crazy. I just saw an article that Jason Aaron is no longer exclusive to Marvel, but he is working
Doing
on
the next Harley Quinn.
He is, quit spreading lies like that.
He's putting Feral Lad into Harley Quinn. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to go through the chat here and see what people are excited for. Bar's ratting Josh out for doing something. Modern epics are better than New Warriors. I don't even know how to reply to that. Wait till you get your modern epic New Warriors. Dude, Fabian Niciesa commented on my video of the Marvel Masterworks Uncanny X-Men 15, and he was like, I can't believe we're shy maybe a year or two from having my name on a Marvel Masterworks for the X-Men books, right? And I was like, dude, we're 20 years away from having New Warriors in Marvel Masterworks format. Fabian, can you imagine that? Like that's gonna come one day. That's gonna be crazy. Like I'm gonna be an old man talking about back in my day.
Take it easy.
Spider-Gwen, go Spider. Joe, fix it. That's right. Thunderbolts. Nothing for Rick, but he's okay with that. 5 female-led books out of like 40. Marvel is what is with you, Bart?
What?
Blade and the Incredible Hulk Omnis for me, probably leaning towards the Hulk. Thunderbolts Omni. And I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, Jess. Werewolf by Night, Elektra, Black, White, and Blood, Hawkeye Omni for the reprints. A lot of people were really excited about the Marvel Masterworks Omega, the Unknown. Blade, the earlier.
So, just a comment on Omega on the Unknown. If you haven't read it, it's a title that is kind of before its time. It tries to kind of deconstruct superheroes before something like Dark Knight Strikes Again did it and was famous for it. So it's a different type of book. And I think that's probably why it didn't catch on in the 70s. It wasn't like any other Marvel title at the time.
I think
Dark Knight did not strike again. Hell no. You're talking about the Dark
Dark Knight Returns. Dark Knight Returns. Oh man, I can't believe. Yeah.
I think Next Imaginaut in the chat was talking exactly what Kurtis was saying about how Omega the Unknown was way ahead of its time, and really psychedelic. And I now hearing Kurtis say that, I'm excited to actually get that masterwork then.
People really liked it, man. I remember people like asking for that Marvel Masterworks. Just going through here, Hawkeye, X Factor. I don't love Tamaki's run, but as a Gen fan, you have Jen on your avatar, Uncanny. It has to be She-Hulk.
That's a good avatar.
Joe, fix it. It's like Mike Mayhew, right? Does Riley even read comics anymore?
Good question.
X Factor Epic Judgment War. Just got here. Can you start over? No. I'm with you, Jess. Don't let them shame you. Who was shaming Jess? That's what he called me. Call me Encyclopedia Encarta. Omar is the FAQ. Oh, I read that already. Fantastic Four. Omar is mean. That should be on a t-shirt. Nicolas Cage is the Spider-Man Noir. Although he did not want to come back. Why are they reprinting the first of the Marvel Masterworks and new Mighty Marvel Masterworks? Are they not the exact same thing other than one's a hardcover and one's digest size? Seems like a waste. One is aimed more towards the youth, right? Like one is you're going to see those digest size books at Scholastic Fairs. You're not going to see a $75 Marvel Masterwork at a Scholastic Fair.
Unless and also those mighty books, everybody thinks. Oh, go ahead, Kurtis.
The digest size is specifically to get it into libraries and classrooms.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the people have the misconception that those mighty books are exactly 2 masterworks each because a few of the early ones did line up like that. They aren't all exact. It's not just a paperbackization of the masterworks line. It's its own distinct line that just shares the title. So they're not a one-to-one gap fill replacement for your shelf. And yeah, I mean, if you look at my kid has a huge amount of comics on her shelf, as you might imagine, and the digest sizes are just the ones that are kind of stocked for bookshelves in libraries. It's just the way of the world right now.
Except in Florida.
I mean, heaven forbid they visit the Michelangelo, then they can't have that comic.
Right.
Where are the Darkhawk epics, Kurtis? Wait a minute.
Uh,
Wait. Hold on a damn minute here. Hold on. This is the guy that was hating on the New Warriors, and he's asking for the Darkhawk epics? What's happening?
90s on 90s crime.
Am I being trolled? Jason Aaron has a book on Boom that's very good. I want to read that. I love the artwork in there. Avengers Epic Collection, The Gatherers. The question is, what do I do with my omnibus? You keep it. You throw away the Epic
Donate it.
Collection.
Donate it
New Warriors
to-
are the best hero team ever. Thank you, Carlos, for being
That's
the voice
kissing
of
up
here.
totally.
Oh, whatever, man. You got like 5 Team Omnidogs in the chat right now.
No,
Yeah. They're all your multiple accounts. Blade and Hulk. Omega.
I can't even respond to questions, so I don't have any extra accounts. I'm not that talented, but thank you.
Getting that Jason Aaron's Harley Quinn. Wait, why?
Nice.
Okay, remember that came from Omnidog's vault, not near my condition.
If we start talking about it on Twitter, maybe we can make it happen.
Oh, this is a
Oh,
good
We
right.
could go out there and say there are rumors that Jason Aaron is going to be writing a Harley Quinn run when Lady Gaga is in the movie. Because
Yeah.
it turns out Gaga is a huge Aaron fan, so it's going to happen.
Oh
Nice.
my God. This is how rumors get started. Go ahead and make sure you heard it from a reliable source, Omnidog. How long should we expect to wait until we get the results of the new Omni poll? I haven't heard from Tiger Eyes. I hope he's not drowning in emails, but I'll shoot him an email today and see how he's just checking on him. No rush. He's a one-man show, so he's doing it all himself. There wasn't a poll like he could have a Google document, like he's actually tallying every one of the emails up.
Yeah, he counts every hanging Chad and has been for 10 years now.
Yeah. 12. This is the
12.
12th, Peter. Yes, I remember
There are
when
children reading comics right now that were not born when this poll began.
I hate
And
that
they're
you
reading
said
comics in Omnibus that weren't even out at that time either.
that. I hate that you just said that. Why would you
Yeah,
remind
well.
me of how old we are? Team Omar, thank you so much, Joe.
Oh, Joe, what do you?
Joe was cool. I knew Joe was cool.
Oh, Joe, that's just not outrageous.
Jesus. Jess, what kind of show did you have yesterday? People are now asking about shoes in the house.
It was the day before yesterday. It was on my birthday, and I was showing off my Galactus that I got last year and never unboxed from Hasbro. And I have the camera on Galactus, and I was setting him up, and they saw that I had shoes on in the house.
And
And
you had shoes on in the house. That's blasphemous, Jess.
But were they house
God,
shoes?
don't you start. I had the whole international audience. All of Sweden now hates me because I wear shoes in the house.
Okay,
Sweden,
calm down.
Israel,
Calm down. All of Sweden? Don't be
Europe,
that.
100% of
Israel.
Sweden.
They're lovable people. Why would they hate
I don't
you?
know about New Zealand.
Andrew was clarifying that he's only kidding about the New Warriors. I'm enjoying my New Warriors omnibus. Thank you. Okay. Faith restored. Okay, here we go now. Team Ødfel. That actually makes sense,
I
right?
like that.
That this channel become a scooper channel only when Jess comes in the stupid chat. Ugh. Still waiting for Jess Squirrel Girl omnibus reviews. Oh yeah, I want to see that one. Any word from Marvel if they'll keep doing the OHCs or are they slowly killing them
Ooh.
off? I haven't seen anything past the the Fantastic Four by Dan Slott, and I think that's one of the few that I saw in the fall. So I haven't heard. I'll shoot an email. I'll ask.
That would really bum me out. I love those oversized hardcovers.
Softcover Omar. This is not how you get my attention, by the way. Any news from Marvel regarding adding Excalibur? Barr started that crap. Adding Excalibur issues to the House of M companion omnibus. I sent out an email and David got back to me saying, okay, they said yes to some things, then they said no to others. The only one that I know for sure they said no to, and I tried hard, was adding the Jason Aaron book, or no, the Mark Waid book, the one shot, the family business to the Zdarsky omnibus. But I have, well, I can't say why. Chip Zdarsky is going to be joining me and Melanie. He's only agreed to come on if Melanie's on April 10th at, I believe, 6 p.m. I want to go before Omni Bros goes live. I don't want to go too late. So I think it's 6 p.m. is when we agreed to do it. But he's got some news about his Spider-Man Omnibus. I can't say anything about it. I'll let him announce it because I get to break the news all the time. So
I might watch that. What channel? Oh,
you might watch. What is wrong with you?
I'm not watching it. That's okay. I got stuff to do. I got shoes to wear.
Wait a minute. I hope he's not drowning in emails. I'll send him one. You're being the problem, right? It's a double-edged sword. How do I check? How do I check? Jess is an indoor shoe wearer. Oh man, I might have to switch the team.
I'm telling you, the whole 15 minutes. There was a 3-hour stream, and 15 minutes was spent on Galactus, and the rest was everybody in the world commenting on wearing.
Now it's gone from Sweden to the world. Jess, you're such a drama baby.
Your PO box,
Sweden too.
Your PO box is just gonna be people sending you slippers. Like, please stop wearing shoes.
Why don't you own slippers, man? Omar, did you get my package? I'm gonna go to the post office tomorrow to make sure it came in. Let's see here. As sweet, I can confirm that wearing shoes indoors are frowned upon.
I swear.
When it comes to content and mapping omnis, the fans are the experts. Yes, we all know better. Oh man. And I had a really good conversation with Peter Tomasi about that, like adding books, and he was, he was like, well, it's about the signature, and he's like, it can only be so many pages, and I was like, Squirrel Girl was 1,616 pages. We could add 3 issues to that Green Lantern Corps omnibus. You should advertise your interviews earlier. I just did, Josh. Right? April 10th. Come and join me and Chip and Melanie. Hashtag Shoegate. Yes, Mika.
What am I doing with my life?
You're saying the wrong things. I've told you, Jack. The piece of advice I've given you when doing these things is you got to watch what you're saying, because you got people like Barr out there listening to you and wanting to cancel you the moment you slip up. And you slipped up, dude.
I did. I'm going to get canceled for wearing shoes indoors.
You were just wearing shoes. Can you imagine the things that you do behind the scenes that people don't know about? Oh my God.
Those are private between you and me.
You would be gone, dude. Omar, when will you interview Stan Sakai? Whenever he wants to. Kurtis, have you interviewed Stan? I feel like that would be a good one for you to interview.
That seems like a holy grail for yeah.
I think I would my holy grail is still Don Rosa. I know, like, he invited me to his house, and he's a nice dude, and because he lives here in Kentucky, he's only like an hour away from me. And but I feel like he would yell at me a lot because he corrects me a lot. Like every time we talk, he's like, "That is not what that is." Like, if you've ever heard him talk, he sounds like an angry old man. I love it. I love people like that. Maybe that's
if you do talk to him on the show. Don't ever mention DuckTales.
Oh, I know that one, dude.
He's so sore.
Where is that book? My favorite thing that he ever signed was my Kaboom copy of The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, where he took his Sharpie and the word Disney, he just went like scribbled it out, right? And then wrote Don Rosa. And I'm like, Melanie was looking at me, and I'm like, it's Don Rosa. What am I going to tell him to stop? It's do whatever he wants to. Fine. He's mad. Let him scratch it out. I'm glad that Marvel is still sort of doing the complete collection line with She-Hulk and an Infamous Spider-Man. Yeah, they're Infamous Iron Man. There are big, thick collections that are coming out that kind of replace those complete collections. I did not see that Don Rosa will be. When is the Cincinnati Comic Expo? And is Ødfel, are you going?
I don't know. It's probably the time of year I should be applying for it. It's usually in September though. But I don't know what.
Let's go. I'll join you, because that's only like an hour and a half away from me.
Same.
Jess has joined me for an Ask Me Anything. Haven't you, Jess? Like before? I think in the past you had.
I think for a little bit, a couple times in the past. Yeah, those are fun. Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Omar, since we have we have most of the Map X squad here, when will you do the next episode? Whenever these wonderful, beautiful people are available. I will say that. And I'll reach out to Riley. I don't know if he still reads comics or if he's at all interested in that, because I know his channel has turned more towards manga. Hey, more power
It's
to
actually
him.
just statues. It's all just statues now.
No, it's not. Stop it.
I love Riley. I love him.
I'll ask him if he's
Manga
still
is
interested in
comics.
that. And if he's not, we can always, recruit somebody else or get a couple of experts, like Jess or Kurtis. They can come help us map out the Executioner song or whatever their favorite era is. But yeah,
Anything with magic and Emma Frost.
I'm
And
there.
Generation
I
X.
saw your Emma Frost ode. It was awesome.
Thank you. She's my girl. I love her and magic so much.
I should interview the Unsolvable Bar. I've actually talked to her, which was really nice. She's a sweet girl, which surprises me because she doesn't come across that way on the chat. Then Marvel canceled the rest of the trade paperbacks for the Heroes Return line. Captain America Volume 3, Iron Man Volume 2, for example. I believe for now they are. Kurtis, do we think that's going to Heroes Return? That's probably the modern era for those characters.
I think Marvel is reassessing the endpoints to the Epic Collection now that the modern eras are around. So we should get, hopefully, I think we should be getting some answers for that pretty soon. When's our next Epic live stream announcement live stream, Omar?
Well, I'm working with David. I'm supposed to have a call with him today on a big announcement, and then I can ask him
on
about
that
the
one.
So, did you hear the news that Disney's making big changes to Marvel Entertainment? Well, so far, I don't think. I think everything is rumors, with the exception of the few people that got fired. So, I haven't heard anything otherwise. And until I do, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of spreading rumors like Jason Aaron's gonna be writing Harley Quinn or whatever crap Jess is making up over there. So dude, there's your thumbnail, Jess. You with your face down like this. Classic, man. You play the victim and you're like, Jason Aaron is going to write Harley Quinn. My life is ruined. Something like that. There you go. I give you gold and you do nothing.
My life is made better by that. I can't wait. We're pushing for it now.
Epics of the Busiek and Perez Avengers run. I think that would probably be modern era. What would you all like to see Marvel do in the next modern era epic? Spider-Girl.
Oh, thank you.
Spider-Girl, because they need to wrap up that series.
I might be considered calling that classic era still, actually.
Do you think Spider-Girl will be classic, even though it's M2? Like, it's separate universe, right?
I think the writing style and the artwork still feels like a classic book, not a modern Marvel book.
I got you.
Like, you're talking black and white suit Spider-Girl, right?
No, well,
No,
she
she
later don that costume, though, doesn't she? May Parker?
That's
There's so many Spider-Girls.
Aranya.
Aranya becomes
I love Aranya.
that Spider-Girl.
Yeah.
And
Spider-Woman.
My bad. I'm sorry. Spider-Woman. We were talking about the alternate reality where Peter and MJ have a kid. May.
Yeah, that is kind of on the line. I don't know.
It's on the line, but I still think that the style, and especially because it's like Pat Olaf and stuff, like he's got a very classic Marvel style to like look to the look of the artwork. I think it would be a classic. But as far as modern's concerned, I really want them to start up a Fantastic Four modern era epic collection and get, Mark Waid's run in and JMS and Mark Miller, even though those aren't the highest regarded, and then going into Jonathan Hickman. I just want it all in one big long line.
Have you read that stuff, Kurtis? Or are you waiting for the epic treatment? Okay.
Oh, I've stayed on top of Fantastic Four since I was a kid. That's the kind of the only title that I stayed on top of, and I do it now through Marvel Unlimited.
Gotcha.
I'd love to see them modern epic Runaways. I think it's the perfect series to modern epic. It's in the right size chunks. It's one of those that deserves to be in print. I think that would be a pick for me.
Definitely.
It's most likely Heroes Return is most likely OG. I just thought it would be a good breaking off point. I know it's 1998, right?
Yeah.
Or 97. But it's a good breaking off point because it was issue number 1. Jess, what about you? What would you like to see in modern epic collections?
I'm actually excited to check out this Rainbow Roll Runaways that Peter's talking about, because I haven't read that at all. So
good.
Very
okay.
underrated.
Yeah, that is
It's Marvel's best book for a lot of the run, if I'm being frank.
It is a Peter recommendation, so I'm definitely going to find all I can if the trades are still in print.
Is there a chance of Marvel finishing out Spider-Girl and Complete Collections? That's what we were just talking about. I said make them into modern epics, and then Kurtis shot me down and said, no, that's still classic OG. And then Ødfel asked the question, which Spider-Girl is that? Which we answered. So I think they will definitely come back in some kind of format. And I'll take
I hope so.
one.
It would be great if they, it's just one more volume, right? So it's like, come on.
Any chance for an Ultimate Fantastic Four Omnibus? Oh my gosh, now would be the time, right? We got Jonathan Hickman writing an Ultimates book. And we have Ultimate Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, Ultimate X-Men 1 and 2, Ultimates reprinted. Absolutely. Now would be the time. Clandestine in Epic or Omni. Wow. Way to throw that out there, man. Yeah. It's got that Alan Davis stuff. Marvel should do modern epic era epics for the Ultimate titles, but call them Ultimate Epic collections. They did have an Ultimate line, remember? They did have that.
They did.
That's the joke.
Was it a joke? Okay, I didn't know if that was a joke or not. Happy belated birthday to all you March babies. I can hear Amanda rolling her eyes already. She does. She rolls her eyes a lot. Jess, can you confirm that Lady Gaga is becoming a comic book writer and is writing Harley Quinn after Jason Aaron finishes his run?
I got that straight from I got that straight from Twitter. So yeah, Twitter doesn't lie.
It doesn't count if it's your own Twitter. All right, Jess.
Lady Gaga is drawing the Jason Aaron Harley Quinn book.
Sorry?
Lady Gaga's drawing the Jason Aaron Harley Quinn.
I thought she was writing it.
Oh, she's doing
none of this.
Jason Aaron is writing a Lady Gaga comic book.
None of that.
As Harley Quinn, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jess, go for it. Let me hear that Let me hear you roll your R's, baby.
I am the leading Hispanic in the comic book community, and Rodimus Prime Rib always challenges me to read Spanish. So hold on one sec, because I know this is important.
Well, my grandmother could see this right now. She'd be throwing a freaking.
Don't
she'd be throwing her flipper at my head.
Amazonian curses. Cut it out. El gran omnipero. Wait. El gran omnipero necesita unas sandals. He wants me to wear sandals.
Oh man, you're just like
I want
half of the Latino audience
sandals. El gran omnipero necesita unas sandalias. Sandalias.
Yes. Sure.
Salinas. He wants me to go to Salinas.
This is so racist. Omar learned his Spanish from Jess and his English from Melanie. You know, I told that story about this old racist lady that was our neighbor that thought Melanie taught me English. And she was like, you taught him he's so well spoken. You taught him so well. That was like, what the? I was like, my kids are not allowed to go to that old lady's house.
I would be like, excuse me.
See Omar's subscribing count going down. All the Latinos are jumping, man. They're out of here. Thanks a lot, Jess.
Blame Rodimus.
Learned Spanish. Jess is a magician. All right, Mario, spin the truth. Omnibus over Epic Collections just out of nowhere. I love it. We need an all-in-one NFL Super Pro Epic Collection. You know, it's whenever talking to Fabian Nicieza, that is one book I kind of don't even joke about. Because years ago, when I had a podcast back in 2005, I interviewed him, and my co-host was like joking around, like, "You also wrote the very popular NFL Super Pro," and I've never heard Fabian raise his voice, and he was like, "You damn right I did." And you know what? I had a lot of checks for that, and there were big checks for NFL Super Pro. So do not go on and mock me for writing a book. It was a job, and it bought me a boat. Like, he was like, and I was looking at my co-host like, why would you ask that? So now I do interviews solo.
Because
Because if anybody's gonna get yelled at, it's gonna be me, and it's gonna be my fault. It's gonna be
You know,
on him.
Omar, for that meeting with David Gabriel, please add a bullet point about a collected Marvel swimsuit edition.
Oh my
epic,
gosh, now's the time.
because
Now's the
they're
time.
they're tributing the covers right now. It's the perfect time to get in there and reprint them. Make it happen, Omar.
I saw the Venom the symbiote cover, right? That
Yeah,
by,
and it's tributing like a Jim Lee
the
era swimsuit.
the Jim Lee the poster in the
Right.
back of that deluxe edition of X-Men. I mean, I recognized those posters right away. I'm like, hey, that's Jim Lee.
I was so confused, like, what is happening? Why have I seen this before? And then it like finally the gears caught up with the eyes.
Oh man, yeah. Now is the time. 17 different variant covers. Oh my gosh, 17 different spines. You don't know who you want. Like, what kind of hotness you're gonna put on your shelf. And you know, there's people out there who are gonna buy all 17 of them.
Right here, dude.
Yeah. I want Marvel to beat DC to the punch, because you know DC might do it, because DC always seems to follow kind of suit. Like Marvel had the X-Men Adventures Omnibus, and then later on DC was like, we can have a Batman animated series omnibus, and they did, and I'm glad they did, because I actually really enjoy those books. But yeah, it would be awesome. Udon's done it. Have you seen the Udon one? Do I have it?
Can we just have like a Marvel Voices swimsuit edition that's just artists? Can we just? I would like that.
Voices of people who which voices community are we addressing with this?
Just hot people.
It's horny voices. Marvel's horny voices.
Yeah, horny voices, and it's just swimsuit edition.
I love where your brain went with that. Your brain went
Rogue.
right there, dude. All of them. I
Magic.
remember the ones that stood out to me were the Nick Fury and Tony Stark by John Romita Jr. had them in these like 80s Speedos. And I was thinking like the other day, man, that is so aged, because that is definitely like, well, 80s, early 90s kind of look for bathing suits. I'm like, because I don't think people wear Speedos anymore to the beach. I don't know. I might be out of the
I
loop.
don't know.
I might be out of the loop on that one. This is slowly turning into an AM. No, don't you start that. I don't know if I should get New Avengers Epic. If there's a New Avengers Omni, we'll probably get a reprint for it. I haven't heard. Where's Saw's Omni then? Sass. Spider.
Strange
Super-
Adventures. Superman.
You're gonna have to help us out on that one, Tex.
Yeah, I need some help here. Super. Is this a swimsuit special we're talking about?
Maybe.
Speedo should be illegal.
I just want an excuse for like a new swimsuit edition. I don't care how they put it out. I just there's so many good artists at Marvel right now.
I had a friend in high school we nicknamed Speedo because he did, in fact, wear them to the beach. Thank you for
Dog
that.
wears them in his house.
As long as he's not wearing shoes with them, he's fine.
Speedos and shoes. Yeah, that's a look.
The Marvel's swimsuit Summer of Symbiotes is almost a new Marvel. That's what we were talking about, James. Like, they should go ahead and give us that omnibus.
No, it's an omnibus. You notice the format keeps getting upgraded every time.
Yeah. We're not doing no single issues or epic. Ain't no way we're doing epic collections. Those babies need to be. Give me a gallery edition. Edition of the swimsuit specials.
Now you got your topic for your phone call with David.
Yeah, it's gonna be nothing but Speedos talk. Hello, Speedos. Of course, come to Europe. Oh, I should have known. I forgot where I am.
Well, and real
least-
talk, it used to be that like you didn't wear, it was all like swim trunks that went down past your knees back when I was a kid. But now like men actually have choices. There's like box cut shorts. Like not everything has to be a scandalous Speedo, and you also don't have to wear like swim trunks. There's men's fashion choices for your swim.
DC should do epic collections as well. I think they started to during some of the Bronze Age trade paperbacks, and they kind of dropped it. So I don't know if they'll ever pick those up again.
I feel like DC, every time they try that, they just make them too short. Like I think that Marvel's genius in the epic collections is they're big hunkers. They cover huge swaths, and so you don't need a ton of them. And like every time DC goes back to reprint stuff, it's in these like little editions. But then they kind of did it with like some of those big reprints that they did of like the 80s and 90s Man of Steel and like George Perez Wonder Woman. But then they like couldn't decide on a format, and some of them were hardcover. They did paperback for the Perez Wonder Woman, then it switched to hardcover when they started doing John Byrne. Like DC, Marvel, the best thing Marvel did, And I was skeptical at the time, as they planted a flag and they're like, epics are going to be this long, they're going to look like this, and every book is going to look like this. And they just stuck with it. And now look at us. There's a huge community with their cult leader, Kurtis, who adores these books. And it's because Marvel had the intestinal fortitude to just say, we're going to stick with something, which DC is incapable of doing.
Yeah, DC changes how their spines look like every 2 years. So trying to organize anything when I worked at the comic shop is just like constantly changing fonts, formats, sizes. It's not uniform at all. Not even a little bit.
I have to say, Bar and I really don't agree on a lot of things in life, but I have to 100% agree with that. Like, I don't care about any other person in this swimsuit. Give me that Mexican Gwen Stacy swimsuit edition. Woo! I don't think those pages can hold that in. Let's go, Mexican Gwen Stacy.
I swear.
But I do have hopes for the DC collected editions department. I mean, they've gotten the catalog is a little more full this time around. We had a few surprises, not just reprints, so it gives me hope that we will see. So,
if I see the Phantom Stranger Omnibus actually come out, then I know they're serious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. 5 times now? 5 times? Yeah. Omar, who is better, Black Panther or the Flash? Better at running, the Flash. Man, better at ruling a kingdom, Black Panther. Who's smarter? It's a good one.
Cries more about their dead mom.
Ooh. Touche.
Who has a better dead mom?
Wow.
No, Ramonda's still alive in the comics, so that joke didn't make it.
Yeah, but that was his stepmom, right?
Oh, that's true. That's his stepmom. Good deep cut, Omar.
Yeah, deep cut, deep nerd cut. And on that note, I think it is time to wrap this up. So I'm going to go round table and talk to my friends where people can go and follow them. Ødfel, where can people find you?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I am Ødfel on pretty much every platform, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, YouTube, TikTok, all of that. The only place there's a slight deviance is Twitter. It's a 0 instead of an O, but everywhere else it's just with an O, and you can find me there.
Awesome. Omnidog, where are you?
Thank you for having me. First of all, you can find me on Omnidog's Vault on YouTube and on Instagram, Omnidogs_Vault.
And Krisis, where are you hanging out, buddy?
If you want to find me, I'm at Crushing Krisis. That's crushing spelt the way all humans do, Krisis with a K, crushingkrisis.com. I write about comics and about drag art every single day, and I have debuted so far, I think, 15 new comic guides this month. I'm covering all of the original Image comics and how they've been printed and reprinted. Even when I debut stuff that's for subscribers, I always write essays about comic history to go along with them. So please, if you like reading, if you don't just absorb comics content through video and you like to read too, please join me.
Encarta.
No, that's me. That's me. I mean,
you're Encarta?
With the CD, yes. He's an actual encyclopedia.
Yeah, he a walking Encarta.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I am Encarta, damn it. I'm the CD version of Encarta. All right, Kurtis.
I am Kurtis at epicmarvelpodcast.com. Unlike Peter, I have not been very productive in my own personal hobbies, and I haven't had a podcast episode at all this month because I've been trying to get out For Better For Worse Volume 7. It has to be at the printer by April 15th to meet our September deadline, so I'm furiously trying to get that done.
Well, that's awesome. And what volume
Comp
is that?
copy. Comp copy.
That guy? That guy?
It's volume 7 out of 9. So this one had some delays on IDW's parts, but it's finally coming out. So there you go.
Jess is the king of comics. That's a very interesting title. Omar's the godfather of comics. That means I can have Jess off anytime and take over as king.
Do you have a Legends figure of yourself, though?
Oh,
no.
What?
Goodness.
I'm sure Ødfel does. I just don't love myself enough to own that.
I also do.
Here, wait. Let me put this on solo layouts. There we go.
Oh
let's
my goodness.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I don't know if it'll focus, but
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, I haven't
I had to
put
get it on
mine
the
on a
Spider-Man
different-
body because they didn't really have girls.
No, they didn't. All right, Jess, what are you on?
I
So-
love
Why
it.
doesn't he have a dog mask?
You know how horrifying
need
that would have been for the software to try and figure out?
It's not kind of looks like me. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
the likenesses
very
are pretty
cool.
good. Like I'm not mad. The likenesses are pretty decent for being like
Yeah.
on a phone.
I think they've already made one of me, which is the guy from Ant-Man with a suit. So
Oh,
that's all
yeah.
you need to buy. It's just an Omar toy.
Yeah.
But that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Hit that like button on the way out and go and check out these wonderful people whenever you get a chance. And I will be back tomorrow with something. I can't remember. There's a video already up. That's it. Much love.